Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Why did Ivana Trump make Donald Trump cry? Was her dying natural or changed into removed while Ivana Trump sold her East 64th Street townhouse? Her buddies and family warned her that the long spiraling stairs ought to kill her. Easily, when she was located lifeless, her frame lay dead on the bottom of the stairs with a cup of espresso next to her. Turned into it just an accident or became it something? More her dying become lonely, and it got here. And 9 months after the unfortunate lack of her fourth and very last husband, the handsome, charming, Italian playboy Rossano Rubicondi, who was complete of life and financial problems. Their dating became a super illustration of Ivana Trump's existence. It changed into a roller coaster of amusing ardor, thrill, luxurious happiness, heartbreaks, failures, and betrayals. Are their deaths linked, or is there something more to their relationship? Hidden from the prying eyes of the public, discover in this tragic story of Ivana Trump's very last marriage, while Ivana divorced Trump when he cheated on her with 26 years antique Mara Maples. It was a messy media affair. However, it caused pretty and enjoyable spectacle for people. Ivana and Trump fought with what they had. They went to media houses, and Ivana even got featured on the duvet of Vogue. In the end, she got $25 million in sole custody in their kids. It turned into a victory for Ivana. However, no longer a candy one. In her anger in the direction of the betrayal she suffered, Ivana left the person that fit what she wanted. In a person, the most Donald became wise, clever, ruthless, ambitious, and useless. Unluckily, the sting of betrayal changed into a long way, an excessive amount for her to bear. Donald Trump wanted her lower back being, with Mara Maples, complete time failed to supply him the identical satisfaction as being with Ivana. However, Ivana was too heartbroken to even look at him, just as she dealt with that pain. Her father died in 1990. The loss compounded in Ivana's coronary heart. Donald Trump attempted to be there for her, or even flew to see her. However, that deliver of romance among them had sailed. Instead of return to Trump, Ivana moved to London, but not for the SES. She commenced a relationship with the married Kenneth Lieberman. She did to his spouse what Maples did to her, but Lieberman failed to intend to take their courting in addition, and he ended it. There has been no time. Up Ivana's ambition soothed her hurt. She created 2 agencies, the primary one become Ivana Inc., which she used to manage her writing, advertisements, appearances, and lectures. The second one become House of Ivana, which she used for her fragrance, clothes, and jewelry. Her corporations screamed luxury. However, the fees did not scare everyone. Human beings patronized her, and on her own. Without her cherished Donald via her aspect, she flourished. She bought her East 64th Street in 1992 and accompanied it up with a 12,000 toes Hender in Palm Beach and a 98T 4-stater room yacht. She turned into residing her first-class existence, but her success did not put off her need for companionship. She felt by myself. She had noon to revel in her success with. She wanted a man, and no guy resisted Ivana. Fortunately, this implemented to each good and bad men. And Ivana, she has a tune report of attracting guys that had been awful for her while she just arrived in Canada's. A younger girl, she almost were given sexually abused. She went on a cruise deliver and customary a date with a sailor at the deliver. However, he had different plans she controlled to break out from him. However, this time there become no escape for her. Ivana met and fell a London-based, totally international businessman. Ricardo was the grasp of appearances and portrayed himself as a guy of means. But Trump didn't like him. He referred to as Ricardo, a not anything man or something, alongside the one Estrace's Cardo married. Ivana, he have become involved in her business. However, humans did not realize him as he desired them. In preference to Mr. Mazzucchelli, he have become Mr. Trump. Mazzucchelli expressed his displeasure to Ivana, and it were given to a factor that for Ivana to have peace, she commenced to inform humans to refer to her as Mrs. Mazzelli, that failed to work. Ivana Trump became too iconic for humans to forget about, and it rolled proper off their tongues. So for the duration of a date, humans referred to Ivana as Ivana Trump, and Mazak, Kelly walked out on that date and her existence. Once more, Ivana felt lonely, and he or she was determined no longer to be. She began to be on the lookout for another dating, and she discovered any other man matter. Rofredo, a royalty befitting of her, be counted. Rafo turned into born. Into luxury, he wasn't intimidated by using Ayana's wealth, and loved how adventurous Ayana turned into this experience of adventure could sooner or later doom their courting. On December 23, 2005, Raudid, and another time Ivana was by myself. It become this loneliness that driven her into the palms of her fourth husband, Rosana Rubicondi. When the pair first met, Ivana wasn't impressed with the aid of him. She thought he changed into vulgar, but Rubicondi had her attraction. To his roughness he became relentless and had pursued Ivana. He confirmed up in which she went, and even sold his personal results to inshape Ivana's jet, putting existence. Ivana still neglected him, however. After a year without being in a relationship, loneliness struck her. Her want to sense desired, allowed to present in to Rubicondi for one night, and sparks flew that night for the first time in a while. Ivana failed to experience like she turned into over 50. They tumbled within the sheets and partied. All through the night, Ivana were given hooked on this feeling of being younger. She and Rubicondi quickly started. So far they went on, dancing with the stars, and dazzled the world, but no longer. Absolutely everyone round Ivana was glad they did not trust Rubicondi. They believed Hebecum with Ivana for the money. Ivana did not trust it if she did. Maybe she didn't care due to the fact she didn't need to sense. Lonely once more, she subsidized Rubicondi and funded his many organizations. He made her feel alive. However, as he turned into doing so, he changed into also killing her and himself. Rubicondi drank like a fish. If it wasn't espresso, it'd be Aperol spritzes. They fueled him. His confidence and conceitedness, because the bond among him and Ivana became tighter. He have become bolder, and the bright party lifestyle of their dating quickly went darkish. Rubicondi started to threaten Ivana with his company. He started out to invite her to marry him, or he would go away her. The ones close to Ivana consider he desired greater of her riches, and wasn't asking for marriage because of love. Ivana decided to marry him as she saw things in another way. She believed once they were given married, Rubicondi could deal with her higher. Then he changed into doing and would end up a extra accountable guy. How wrong become Rubicondi became even worse. He desired money for the marriage because Ivana got cash from sponsors for the marriage. She gave him money. However, he wasn't happy. Notwithstanding all of these symptoms, Ivana still decided to head on with the marriage. She decided to have the ceremony in Mar-a-Lago, with Donald Trump waving the venue. Rata even attended the marriage. Did he nevertheless love her? Ivana turned into satisfied on her wedding day. However, what observed after wasn't joy without delay. After the wedding, Rubicondi flew to Miami and Rome. Ivana changed into devastated. However, lamentably, the worst was yet to come. For weeks, Rubicondi wasn't round, and the loneliness creeped round and strangled her. It were given even worse whilst Rubicondi was around. He left out her. He stopped touching her. Ivana became lost. She attempted to figure out what became incorrect, and while they've been yachting, she did. Rubicondi had condoms with him, and he wasn't using it. Together with her, a massive fight erupted between the no longer again. Ivana thought this became a betrayal, that she did not want peace, evaporated from their marriage, and after hour of marriage, they divorced even hours alone, over again, but this time, she honestly wasn't at the same time as she wasn't married to Rubicondi once more. The two had on and off relationships, which endured even after Rubicondi remarried in 2011 and had another marriage. In 2014, Rubicondi would ask for assist from Ivana, and she gave it to him when she needed him. Although it was overdue in the night, he might journey to peer her. Little did she understand that he was death, a gradual horror, dying in 2020. Ivana got a call Rubicondi, changed into death without delay. She had him brought to New York and cared for. Him she hoped he would make a remarkable recuperation for almost a 12 months Rubicondi fought and clung to life. But he could not maintain on and sooner or later died as he died. That part of Ivana's soul that contained, her spark died with him. She become now, certainly alone. Ivana stopped residing. She didn't have hobby in going out and have become a shadow of herself. It become almost as though she became depressed, which turned into why, while she changed into observed lifeless on July 14, 2022. Many humans refused to accept that. She fell from the steps as her post-mortem claimed conspiracies arose, which we could tell you about later in this video. Her funeral was a solemn affair. Donald Trump attended and stood stoic, with Ivana's friends blaming him for her death, rather than provide certainly one of his sharp replies. Donald Trump stood broken tears, streaming from his face. He had lost the female. He sincerely loved the girl, who helped him build his empire. If Ivana hadn't been involved in his enterprise, there could have been no business. Nikki Haskell, a notable entrepreneur, a pioneer and ruthless go-getter, said. Haskell changed into additionally, Ivana Trump's high-quality pull. Whilst she become alive, do you observe to sell is right, or should she be exaggerating? She isn't always the most effective one that believes this gossip column. Cindy Adams also echoed the same sentiments in the Ivana Trump story. She stated, Ivana opened the manor for Donald Trump. In keeping with her, Ivana became the brain in the back of Trump's capability to discover human beings and have an excellent estimation of their proper worth. While Trump has been defined as a narcissist via Ivana herself, so it's not strange if he is not able to absolutely identify people. However that was, then Trump identified J.D. Vance to be his VP, which seems like a stable preference, because Vance has proven top-notch abilities in referring to with the younger demographics and global leaders. Vance has stamped his authority numerous times and has proven a political maturity that simplest Donald Trump notice dearlier than now. Additionally, Trump saw the skills in his very own son, Barron Trump, and followed his advice to take a different method to campaigning for the 2025 United States presidential elections. That approach helped Trump reach out to younger citizens and ultimately received him the election. Trump additionally diagnosed Elon Musk as anti-terrific. Elon Musk helped finance Trump's elections in Go Back. Perhaps Donald Trump of the past could not identify talents, but Donald Trump of now sincerely does. However, should it be that he found out properly from Ivana, looks like she might always be considered and critical a part of Trump's records. She become the only who revamped Donald Trump's style experience. Before her, Donald Trump wore Berg Queen suits, and after he met her, he started to wear Bayon in keeping with creator Paula Frolic. Trump could never have turned out to be president without Ivana, she claimed. Ivana's work on improving Trump's photo got him The Apprentice show, which created the collection of activities that caused Trump turning into the president. Do you observed that? Is real Ivana would have made her astounding first female human beings frequently underestimate her because of her splendor. However, she was a ruthless and indomitable woman. Ivana was the kind of person to speak when matters made her uncomfortable, and hardly ever did she show weak spot. She preferred to joke about issues that pressed on her soul, continually trying to be strong. Usually wanting to combat it became the way she had acknowledged she turned into a baby born in were given Waldorf in the vintage Communist United States of America of Czechoslovakia on February 20th, 1949. Her battles start from the moment she changed into born as an 8 weeks premature, who became decided to live as she grew older. Ivana's determination wasn't simply to live, she desired to be free. However, the communist society she grew up in had many values. However, Ivana's concept of freedom wasn't certainly one of them. The simplest time that Ivana didn't sense, shackled become when she skied what her father delivered to her as a hobby. When she turned into 4, have become her price ticket to freedom in greater approaches than she could have concept as she grew in talent. Ivanka Jo joined the junior national ski crew and she began to journey outdoor her USA. This became something, but Ivana, who turned into one of the promoters of the greed is right. ERA of the 80s wasn't happy, she wanted extra, and fortunately for her that more got here. Then there was a shift within the 60s, the communist government of her United States of America decided to relax their guidelines, and as a youngster at 14, Ivana finally tasted the freedom she wanted. And she got addicted. Ivana were given into a relationship with the competitive skier George Sovert at this length, and began thus far him 3 years. After this wasn't the spotlight of her teenage years. Although Ivanka had left, simply being a skier to being a celeb, she commenced to act and got roles in movies. Her frame, fashion, and allure earns her the popularity of being the Czech Brigitte Bardot. She even dyed her brown hair blonde so she will be like her function model. But apart from the power of stardom, wildness, and the pursuit of freedom, the two shared. Ivana changed into massively extraordinary in how she handled family. Bardot failed to want to have youngsters, but Ivana wanted to. However, she failed to want to have them in test proper. Earlier than her very eyes, the liberty she had tasted disappeared in 1968. The communists slower back the restrictions, and Ivana should not unfold her wings and fly. She had to get away, but if she defected, her dad and mum could get into problem. Ivana cared an excessive amount of for them, for her to permit that to appear to them. So she waited unhappy and depressed until the following component took place. Sirovatka didn't like this gloomy Ivana. So when he met a young Austrian man named Alfred Winkel in 1971, he asked her to have a faux marriage with Ivana. This wedding ceremony changed into simply to get a marriage certificate, which might permit Ivana to transport out of Czechoslovakia under the guise of visiting with her husband. It become an extended shot. But Siatka cared too an awful lot about Ivana. Now, not to attempt Winkelmeyer, thought approximately Sokka's concept, after which he prevalent. Sirovatka did not assume this. He fast broke the information to Ivana, and she became Mrs. Winkel on paper. She become capable of get her flow, and Siatka set her up in his own family's rental in Prague. Ivana become finally free. However, it wasn't immediately to the runway or clubs for her. She wanted to preserve her training, and no matter having a degree, she enrolled at Charles University for her graduate studies and graduated with a master's degree in bodily education. In her youngsters, Ivana wasn't on the lookout for complete bad boys. She preferred her men all-rounded, and so, while she met Jerry Seidel, one of Czechoslovakia's youngest poets and songwriters, she fell for him. Hard Butzel had a vice. He fell in love along with her and dealt with her as he regarded her and an incomparable goddess. She became his muse for poetry, and he became her window to the world of pursuing her delight with reckless abandon. Unfortunately, they got too reckless, allegedly, on October 9th, 1973. Steele and Ivana went on a force, but before they started out, Steele had indulged in his vices. He had under the influence of alcohol, too much alcohol, before getting in the back of the guidance wheel, so he did not note while an incoming bounded towards the automobilist's vehicle, and the truck collided and he wasn't carrying a seatbelt. So after the collision, he flew from his automobile and slammed his head at the shield rail. Loss of life. Immediately, miraculously, Ivana survived the crash and changed into left to mourn the loss of her lover, possibly due to the loss of the primary man she simply loved. There, changed into nothing that tied Ivana to Prague. Once more, she moved to Canada, and there she came alive. She started out to locate work as a virgin, and soon became the favorite of style magazines. Her poise, elegance, top and body was considered perfect, and those just could not hold their eyes off her. Tosi, Ivana turned into to be entranced, and Donald Trump became greater than entranced when he met her at Maxwell's Plum, a vast eating place and bar at 64th Street and 1st Avenue. From there, the two started. To date, they had been like peas in a pod each of them a driving pressure of nature and a middle of attraction. Donald Trump even started out to consider Ivana Atwin model of himself. He diagnosed her ardor, ambition and intelligence. He saw her. The manner other people failed to. He saw her as the essential asset to his developing empire, and he changed into right. But Donald didn't see what later befell with Melania, coming Donald Trump, a man who had been defined as too self-absorbed and who wanted all the attention for himself, began. And to bring interest to Ivana, he would boast approximately how Ivana spoke different languages to humans and how she became an expert skier for Trump marrying. Ivana became all that mattered, however. Ivana did not want to be so certain, but she failed to assume one factor: Trump's relentlessness. In the end, she agreed to marry him. They got married on April 7th, 77, and immediately began to raise a own family. Ivana gave beginning to Don Jr., Ivanka, and Eric accompanied in rapid succession. She changed into protective about her youngsters, and this motivated her ruthless method to handling the family business. Those who underestimated did it at their own peril. She played a key position within the redevelopment of the capital, sucking historical crumbling Mar-a-Lago property in Palm Beach. She failed to even have time to pat herself at the back for a process nicely carried out before she moved on to becoming the CEO of the Trump Castle Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. From there, she became the president of the iconic Plaza Hotel within the middle of Manhattan in March 1988, after Trump bought it. She was a force to reckon with. Do you suspect Donald Trump's empire would have grown to this level without Ivana as the enterprise grew? So did the attention that Ivana got. And it got to a point that allegedly Donald Trump felt like a sideman or woman. He started out an affair with Mara Maples, and Ivana determined out. It was at that second that her issues commenced and her dying warrant became signed. Maybe if Donald hadn't cheated on her, she wouldn't have ended up being by myself and might still be alive to these days. Donald Trump could also not be blamed for her demise. There are theories that declare that Donald Trump took Ivana's lifestyles. The two theories claim that he did it so he may want to store himself from going to prison across the time that Ivana surpassed Donald and his circle of relatives were in trouble. They have been being investigated for real estate fraud. One of those theories claimed that Donald took Ivana's lifestyles to shop for greater time. The other of those theories claimed Trump did it to cover proof of his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. They claimed Trump hid evidence of his involvement with Epstein in Ivana's grave. These two theories are wild, however ought they be true?